So coincidentally, after I made my 50/50 video, they kind of started to gain a good amount of traction. Obviously, I'm not taking credit for this, I just think it's a funny coincidence. I'm hoping that luck will rub off on the group I talk about today, which I think is honestly the most underrated group in K-pop, and I don't say that lightly, okay? There are hundreds of groups in K-pop, so there are hundreds of candidates of being underrated, so it's pretty hard to just choose one for that title. But I think what makes this group the most underrated group in K-pop is, first of all, they are nowhere near as popular as their contemporaries in the same rookie class that they debuted in. That being the 2021 and 2022 class. Specifically, they debuted at the end of 2021. They have just over 600,000 listeners on Spotify, and as I'm recording this, within the coming week, they are having a comeback. I wanted to make this video before they came back so I could maybe build up a little hype of people who don't listen to them or maybe don't know about them. Because let me tell you, if you're not listening to Billlie, you're missing out right now. Billlie is a 7-member girl group that has debuted under Mystic Story. Now, Mystic Story used to be known as Mystic Entertainment, and SM is actually someone who is the major shareholder in this company, so technically, Billlie is a descendant of the SM tree. Mystic Entertainment was also the company that the Brown Eyed Girls were under, that group that sung the song. Now, the founder of this company, Yoon Jong-shin, hopefully I said that correctly, is actually a singer in his own right and has released albums as recently as 2020 and had songs chart as recently as 2017, which again is not recently really, but you know, as a founder of a company, you have so much shit to do. It's like, that's kind of impressive. Now remember him because we're going to bring him up a little bit later. Now getting into the members and some of their music, there are 7 members in this group, being Haruna, Siyun, Cheon, Suki, Haram, Soyeon, and Moonsua. I imagine I pronounced one of those incorrectly, I apologize. Now, when they debuted, they were actually a 6-member girl group. Cheon had not been part of the group yet, she was actually in Girls Planet 999. She would actually be eliminated in the final episode. She placed 10th, meaning she was essentially the last one eliminated before forming the group that would become Kepler, and like low-key, thank God she escaped that because Billlie is so much better of a place for her. That's not even me hating on Kepler, like I actually like some of their recent music, but I honestly think Billlie is just so much better of a place for her to be in with the way she performs on stage. Like, we'll get to it, she is a great performer. As for some of the other members, you may recognize Moonsua. She is the sister to Moonbin, who is a singer in the group Astro. Moonsua was also a YG Entertainment trainee for 10 years. She participated in Unpretty Rap Star and finished as the 3rd runner-up. Soyeon is a former Produce 101 contestant, placed 69th. Haram and Suki are former SM trainees, and Siyun participated on the K-pop talent show K-pop Star 5. They would debut on November 10th, 2021 with their first EP, The Village of Perception Chapter 1. This would be a 6-song EP with the title track Ring X Ring. This album would go on to peak at number 12 in Korea and would sell just under 25,000 copies. Now here's the thing, Billlie kind of came out of nowhere. There wasn't a shit ton of promotion before this group dropped, at least compared to some of their other contemporaries. And what really sucked a lot of people in was their just weird sound. Like, I'm gonna play you some music throughout this video and you'll understand what I mean by they have just an odd sound. They mix so many sounds and genres into their music, and a lot of that is heard just on their debut EP, especially Ring X Ring, which is just a weird song, but weird in like the best way possible. Ring X Ring is personally my favorite debut song from the 2021 to 2022 rookie class. A few things that stand out about this release is the really cool music video, the really fun choreography, especially showing off Suki's dancing ability. She is a really great main dancer. The super diverse chord progression in this song, like you don't even know the chorus is happening until it's happening. I remember the first time I listened to this song, I was genuinely like confused. Like I had no idea what I was listening to. But when it hits so hard. I specifically like the part where Haram is singing going into the second chorus and they add this really pretty vocoder over her voice. Vocoders and autotune can be used in an artistic way. I talked about it a little bit in my Jimin video and it applies here as well. It just sounds really cool. I wish I could talk about the rest of the EP, but I would really love you to experience that yourself. Trust me, Billie's music is like a you should listen to it first kind of thing. Also, if I talk about how much I love flipping a coin, I will probably run this video like 30 minutes, so we're gonna move on to the first comeback. Now, I wouldn't consider Billie's debut like a failure or a flop or anything, but the problem was that they debuted like right before IVE debuted on December 1st, and IVE was the big show-stopping piece of that rookie class, one of the first groups to debut with Wonyoung and Yujin in it. People were hyping that up, and I think Billlie kind of got tossed to the wayside. Like they were walking down the sidewalk, and they kind of just got like pushed off to the grass or something. Or some people just didn't even know they existed to begin with, which is super unfortunate because between you and me, Billlie makes better music, but like that's just my opinion. And then after IVE, you would get Le Sserafim and Kepler and even Viviz, who were popular for like 2 seconds. As the year went on going into 2022, Billlie had some competition to compete with, and they still do. That's the reason I think they're very underrated, is that when you think of that rookie class, you don't immediately think of Billlie, you think of New Jeans and Le Sserafim and IVE. Now, that doesn't mean they weren't like popular though. They were still nominated for some Rookie of the Year awards at the Mnet Japan Fans Choice Awards and the Hanteo Music Awards. Billlie would come back very soon after their EP with a single being Snowy Night, released on December 14th. It would also be the first instance in which Xion was part of the group. She was added in at this point. Now, at that point, Billlie were still promoting their debut EP, so Xion was actually incorporated into their debut EP stuff with like Ring X Ring and stuff like that, but Snowy Night was technically her first comeback with the group. Snowy Night, by the way, is one of the best Christmas songs I've heard in K-pop, because it's not directly meant to be a Christmas song, it's really just like a winter song, but it is just so much fun. The music video is super weird. It has like nods to that like stop motion, movies that you would watch for Christmas. You know the ones I'm talking about, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Jack Frost and that kind of stuff. Just take a listen. This shit soothes your soul. Snowy Night would not chart on Korean or Japanese charts, which is unfortunate. They're missing out on this. Now, moving on to their first comeback, this is the comeback that you probably know them for. This is the one that kind of blew them up a little bit in the mainstream, that being the Collective Soul and Unconscious Chapter 1 with the title track Ginga Minga Yo. So instead of me saying how much I like this song, I'm going to show you a snippet of my favorite YouTuber who said that this was their favorite K-pop song or top K-pop song of 2022.
Billlie is setting the standard for gracefully including a dance break that actually gives the main dancer time to show off. And you know what? That's a great way to define this song. They're just showing off. Performance, percussion, production. They're just rubbing it in your face how good they are. And they are. Who was sitting around Mystic Story one day and thought, might just create one of the greatest K-pop rookies of all time. No big deal.
Honestly, what would we do without Mara? Like, I cannot explain music as good as she can, so I'll try to do it justice here. Ginga Minga Yo is the best weird song I've ever listened to in K-pop history. It is so much fun, and it's also creepy at the same time. This song is just bouncy. Like, that's the word I would give it. It's a bouncy song. Probably one of the most underrated rap sections I've heard in a girl group K-pop song. Moonsoa is fantastic. It lasts for like only a second or two, but like, she's very talented. The dance break is fantastic, and Mara said this in her video, but like, Billlie is really good at incorporating actual dance breaks that do justice to the main dancer, especially Suki. They do this in Ring Ring 2, and they do this here in Ginga Minga Yo. Ginga Minga Yo feels like you're being transported into this weird world, and you're kind of just there for the ride. People have drawn a lot of comparisons to Billie's music to Red Velvet. A lot of people have said that Billlie are the second coming of Red Velvet. And it's not that I disagree, I do see some of the parallels they're drawing from, like a song like this being as weird as a song like Zimzalabim. Red Velvet can be kind of quirky in nature with some of their music, but sometimes they will fall back and do a more grounded, mature concept. Billie's most mature concept so far is what we'll get to next, but they really just make all around odd, fun synth music. But the fact that people are even saying that they are the second coming of Red Velvet is very high praise in its own right, because Red Velvet have one of the best discographies in K-pop. So their second EP now, The Collective Soul and Unconscious Chapter 1, would have Ginga Minga Yo, Assign Anonymous, Overlap 1-1, Moon Palace, and Believe. Only 5 songs on this one, but not even joking you, 4 of these are 9 out of 10s or better. Like, Believe is the only song that I don't like as much because it's more of a traditional ballad, and that one's still pretty good to me, but the rest of these are amazing. You guys have heard me font over Assign Anonymous enough, but I am literally in love with this song. This might be one of my favorite K-pop B-sides in the history of me listening to K-pop ever, in my 7-year tenure. This is literally 4th generation Pokemon music, and I am here for it. It sounds amazing. Also, when it comes to the queens of album covers, I love Billie's album covers, especially this one, the light blues and purples and pinks. It's so nice on the eyes. I bought it literally just to have it so I could look at it in person. The Collective Soul and Unconscious Chapter 1 was one of my favorite albums of 2022, period. It was one of the best I listened to. It carried this consistent theming with it, this very dreamlike synth pop, with also some elements of like dream pop and house music added in. If you haven't given any of these songs a listen or this comeback, you need to stop what you're doing. Like, literally just stop watching my video and go listen to this album. I promise you're not going to regret it. It's amazing. By far, the best album that a Rookie group put out, probably besides New Jeans' debut. Now, this EP would go on to peak at 5 in Korea and 18 in Japan. It would also sell just under 90,000 copies in Korea and 2,000 copies in Japan. Ginga Minga Yo would peak at 92 on the Korean charts and 6 in Japan. And here's where I get into kind of a limitation of Billie's music, and that's the fact that not everyone is going to like Billie's music because they do have this very quirky nature to a lot of their B-sides and their title tracks. It's really not for everyone. While I highly recommend that all of you watching this go listen to their music, I know there's going to be a good amount of you that don't enjoy their music, and that's perfectly okay. Billie's biggest glaring issue to me is their lore. Their lore is very intricate. I personally do not care for it. It is really cool compared to some other lores out there in K-pop, but it is incredibly intricate, and it also weaves its way into the lyricism of the songs, meaning there's some weird verses, some weird lyrics kind of sprinkled into some of their tracks that if you don't really understand the lore, you're not really going to understand. I have a similar issue with aespa in this category where they have their, alternates AI member concepts or their, I members, and it works its way into the lyrics and makes some of their songs feel a little bit disjointed. It happens here with Billlie. It doesn't happen to the extent that it does for aespa, in my opinion, but it does turn some people away. Billie's lore is incredibly intricate, but it does make for some really fucking cool music videos. So Billlie would go on to do some more promotions for this, and later in 2022 would come back with another single, this time being a remake called Pobat Bing-Su. Now, the interesting story behind Pobat Bing-Su is that the original creator of the song is none other than Yoon Jong-shin, the founder of Mystic Story. I'm not someone who's normally into, older versions of songs that get remade, but I actually like the original Pobat Bing-Su, sung by Yoon, and it's really just like a nice folk poppy tune. It's very mellow. So Billlie would remake this song, and Pobat Bing-Su is literally just a song about Pobat Bing-Su, which is just Korean shaved ice, which is a dessert dish. It's also known as bingsu. It is honestly one of the most tacky songs I've ever listened to, but I love every second of this. First of all, it knows it's satire, like that it's self-aware that it's satire. So the music video itself is really a kind of satire on traditional commercials. You got a K-drama in there, you got like an iPod commercial, like a headphone commercial, you got jean sponsorship, and at the end, it's revealed the camera director the whole time was the founder. And the thing I really love is that they make this song feel Billlie. It's not just the original song with some switch-ups, like, it is really a recreation of the original song. It's a completely different genre now. And it overall is just one of those things that you watch, and it's just like, yeah, the founder must have a lot of love he's putting into this group, just out of the effort to make this in general. This song would go on to peak at number 7 in Korea and would actually sell 54,000 copies, which is impressive because it's just this. It also came with a remix song called Highway Romance, also a very good B-side, super underrated. Now, a little over a month later, on August 31st, 2022, they would drop their third EP, being The Village of Perception Chapter 2, which is supposed to be a continuation off of their first EP as of the title of the album, which is really what I go off of. I don't know much about the lore of the group. Again, I'm not invested in the lore, so this would have 6 songs on it, and let me just run down these names, because holy shit. If it's one thing you're getting with Billlie song names, it's creativity. Like My Bee, The Birth of Emotion, Brave, a song from Matilda, Ring My Bell, Sun Palace, MacGuffin's Who's the Joker, Back to Where We Belong. But that's so cool though. It really does make a lot of their tracks like very unique and memorable. It's more than just the song itself, it's the name. The title track for this song is Ring My Bell, and I'm just gonna let you listen to this concept switch. So you tell me Billlie debuted with like an EDM synth pop sound and then went to R&B Christmas music, then ended up going to like fun, upbeat, bouncy, quirky K-pop, then remade a song, and now we're doing garage rock? That is exactly what we're doing, and it's fucking awesome. If it's one thing I want to applaud the members for, it's the fact that they can pull off all of these concepts at once. Like, this is crazy. Every single member fits this concept to a T, and a lot of their stage presence perfectly fits this concept. Like, they ooze confidence. It's because a lot of these members are incredibly talented. I might as well talk about it now. Haram is one of my favorite vocalists in K-pop right now. She absolutely shines on this song. This song is laced with these super pretty guitar riffs and these chants. Like, this is Billie's de facto hype song, and it works, especially with the choreography and how they perform on stage. If I'm gonna pick one rookie group right now that has the best stage presence, it's Billlie, like by far. Like, don't get me wrong, Le Sserafim also has very good stage presence as well, but I'm gonna give it to Billlie on this one. They really know how to pull off their comebacks. They recently came over to America and performed this song, and they were going hard. So, Chapter 2 of The Village of Perception is actually a lot like the Soul and Unconscious Chapter 1, where it has these flavors of dream and synthpop added in with a little darker aspects to them, like on MacGuffin's Who's the Joker. Sun Palace is just the removed cousin of Assign Anonymous, and I love it with my entire heart. Really, I could go down the list. All of their B-sides are fantastic, but again, I don't want to spoil them too much because I want you guys to listen to it first, because, like, holy shit. Now, this EP would go on to peak at 3rd on the Korean charts and 23 in Japan, and would sell 91,000 copies in Korea and just over 2,400 in Japan. Now, I think that maintaining this number is impressive. It wasn't necessarily the jump you would want after a huge comeback like the Soul and Unconscious Chapter 1, but the garage rock concept is a little removed from what K-pop is known for, and only recently have groups started to breach into that rock theme. And 91,000 copies for any group is nothing really to scoff at. Ring My Bell would peak the highest of any K-pop song that they put out so far at 32 on the Korean charts. So far, Billlie have been incredibly successful as a rookie group that really didn't get a lot of promotion and comes from a much smaller company. Billlie really do feel like more of a grassroots group compared to some of their other rookie groups that paired next to them. Like, I love LE SSERAFIM and IVE, but they kind of already had boosts with, coming from bigger companies, and like Chaewon being in LE SSERAFIM and Wonyoung being in IVE. They already have instant popularity boost. Like, you knew that they were going to debut popular. Billlie has kind of had to like scratch and claw their way at their popularity that they've gained by differentiating themselves from everyone else music-wise. And that's mainly because Billlie and the main producer who produces a lot of their music, including basically everything off of Unconscious Chapter 1, his name is Jungsu Psychedelic Han, who also worked on a lot of GWSN music. I've had some ex-GWSN fans like come and like talk about Billlie and say, oh, the reason Billlie is so successful, the reason the music is so good is just because of this producer, and like they almost try to use it as like this odd, like, well, GWSN should have gotten this popularity kind of thing too, and I don't know, that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Billlie is also one of those groups that every member is vital to their group in some sort of way. And out of all the rookie girl groups from that 2021 and 2022 class, I think had probably some of the best combinations of dancers, singers, and rappers out of any group. They've also gone on to do covers of other songs, which they sound fantastic doing. They do their own variety content as well. Truthfully, Billlie has flown under the radar of a ton of people because they unfortunately debuted at a time where you saw all of these massive K-pop groups debuting, these massive girl groups debuting. A lot of people just didn't really get to hop on the Billlie train when it first departed because they didn't even know it existed. Well, I think this is your opportunity. We have a couple of days until their next release, which, by the way, is sounding phenomenal. They're already dropping teasers for their songs coming up, and oh my god, listen to some of this.
Like a white knight, I can't define. It's weird, am I right? You are dreaming the light.
From that 2021 to 2022 rookie cycle, I think Billlie have put together probably the most complete discography so far. I mean, they have 3 EPs and 2 singles, with another one dropping in a few days, compared to an IVE or a NewJeans who have like 6 songs each. Which, again, no fault to NewJeans or IVE, that's not really much of their decision, and most of their music is very, very good. I made a video the other day about how a lot of albums are dying out, and while Billlie doesn't even technically have an album yet, they only have EPs, if you do want to go listen to a rookie group that debuted in that cycle that actually has a good amount of content out music-wise, Billie's probably your best bet. I really do hope this next comeback is successful for them, because Billlie have been consistent at putting out some of the best music I have heard in the past year or so. Their concepts are always very refreshing, their EPs are always very well made. They're a group that has the rare talent of every position, whether it be a vocalist, a true rapper, or a very good dancer. And most importantly, a founder in a company that look like they really love this group. And instead of taking the easy route and doing a trendy thing that everyone else is doing in the K-pop scene, they have diversified their music, branched out, and made music that is completely different than anything else that we're hearing right now. I honestly don't think this video is much of a extensive overview of them as a group or the members of their music. Really what this is just an extended plea, really, for you all to listen to their music, because I want this group to continue to exist and reach higher highs, because they deserve it. They are an incredible rookie group, one of the best I've ever seen, and they just flew so far under the radar because of the other groups like the IVEs of the world. They're dropping Chapter 3 of The Village of Perception on March 28th. Check it out, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video.